Hey, welcome back. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about today is designing your poster. And this is, again, not a thing that you're going to need to know for this class. So you could probably stop watching now and be okay. But I wanted to go through it just in case any of you are actually doing a poster for like undergrad research and whatnot. And I'll go through it real quick. And if you ever have any questions, you can always ask me. So in general, and this applies to you all, if you're making your poster for us too, your title needs to be about 85 point or bigger. We need to be able to read it from about 3 feet away. Your name, 56 points, subheadings, 36 to 50 points. This is just a good guideline for keeping the text the right size. And so you can see down here at the bottom for body text, if you use 30-point font, you can read it from about 6 feet away, 48 font, 10 feet away, 12.6, see what I'm saying? Just a good rule of thumb for you guys. I don't know if you know the difference between serif and sans serif fonts, but serif fonts are like Times New Roman, and they have feet. And they are meant for the body text, because what these feet do when you're reading and blurring together is they make an imaginary line. And so it's really good for reading stuff on the page. So good for body text. If you're ever doing anything on screen, the sans serif font is better because it doesn't have feet. So what we find is that the feet get pixelated on most people's screens, and so they become very blurry and it makes it harder to read. And so these are fonts like Arial and Courier, Arial and Calibri, that you can pick out to use on Microsoft Word. And they are a lot better for headings and whatnot because they're just like bold and clean and whatnot. So good to know. When you pick your fonts, you don't want to pick like a bajillion different kinds of fonts. Like you really want no more than 2 font families. And if you can keep it in one font family, that's even better. So you can use italics and bold. That's what a family is. So like when I say family, I mean like Times New Roman, regular, italics, bold, semi-bold, etc., etc. I'm a big fan of Helvetica. So there's bold, limited standard, thin, etc., etc. All total on your poster, you're looking for 500 to 1,000 words on the page. No too long didn't read, because again, you don't want to cut and paste the whole chunks of text on there. You want to shorten things into bulleted text and treat your poster like it's a visual. Okay. What about pictures and photographs? Just know that if you ever print them, you're going to blow them up, all right? And when you blow stuff up, it gets pixelated and ugly, all right? And so down here, there's a handy like formula. And so 1,800 pixels wide equals about 6 inches wide at 300 dots per inch. And so that's okay. But 1,800 pixels wide blown up to 30 inches works out to 60 dots per inch, and that's blurry. I know that that's math and that's hard, but just know that the more pixels, the better, and the greater the dots per inch, the better the quality printing, because that's like dots that the printer prints per inch. Hopefully that makes sense. Here's some more things about photos that you can reference later. I'll put this up. Other things to know about photos: don't have pictures of people sitting at tables, because that's like the most boring photo ever. And that's a thing that people do all the time. They're like, oh, we were at this conference and I got a great picture of Jeff and he's like talking at a table, but nobody cares. Just don't do it. So definitely when you do things, have like action shots or people out like in a field learning, things that people are going to draw their eye and be like, wow, that's kind of interesting. So when we talk about color, so word on color, some people say 2 colors or less, and those people are wrong. If you're bad at color, you can stick to 2 colors or less. But if you're decent at color, you can do a fair number of colors and have it be a good thing. And what colors do is they create what's called visual hierarchy, okay? And it aids readers in skimming the material. So usually darker, heavier colors are considered in charge, and we see those first. And then lighter, more muted colors are considered like less in charge. And so if you put, for example, if you did a poster and you had your colors be red, blue, and yellow, that would not work, because all of those colors are like primary And so no one of them is in charge, right? So your poster is not color coded, it's just colorful. And that's no good. We need to pick one color that is in charge. And so that's when you end up with these handy color families that you can actually pick out in like Word and PowerPoint and whatnot. And so you see that like the heavier red here is clearly in charge, and maybe you use, this for the background and like this for text and et cetera, et cetera. And so we've got some hierarchy there, and it aids us in getting the information quickly. So hopefully that makes sense. There's a handy chart up that you can use if you want. It's called the Psychology of Color, and it's like what each color means in Western contexts. So other design elements, you can use boxes, shading lines, other things like that to catch the reader's eye and help parse out your information and keep it separated. But I do recommend using white space. And when I mean white space, I mean like some room to breathe. Like don't fill your poster with like wall-to-wall stuff, because that's no good. And then I use what's called the maze method. So if you got white space, say like the white space between columns of text, put your finger in the white space and then follow the white space and see if you can get out to the edge of the poster. And if you can, then that's good, because our eye can escape. But if you can't, if you get blocked in by other text or some weird lines or something, that means that your eye doesn't flow like well off the thing, and it makes people uneasy at a rude subconscious level. And please don't mess with us at subconscious levels. So let's judge people based on their posters. Whoa, oh my God, this is terrible. Pigs in space, the effects of zero gravity and blah, 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 blah. And so you look at this and you think, my God, this is terrible. There's so many colors. There's so many different fonts. Why is that background so difficult to read? Why did none of the boxes line up on any kind of grid pattern? Why is that hamster like morphing into something else over here? I don't even know. This one's slightly better. This one I actually designed. That's kind of clean looking, right? I should have used bulleted points, but at least it's got white space, and I read it clockwise, so it kind of worked out. This one's pretty good. My kids at Governor's School did this. This was done by somebody younger than you, and they did all right. So they used the boxes to keep stuff in. It's got white space. You can do the maze method and get out. It's pretty straightforward, but it works. It's got really good graphs and figures to help get the information across. So it actually won, if I remember correctly. There was a poster contest. So this one's pretty good too, except that it's blurry. So that is like the quick run through of designing a poster. If you ever want to talk design, like that's a thing that I love, and I'm glad to help you out. So good. All right, cool. Well, good luck with your posters. Let us know if you have any trouble.